Hey guys, this is Koyoda, and we are back to another taking a look at those shards, breaking down those shards. Actually, what did I call the last video again? I called it breaking down the Did I call it breaking down the shards? I don't even remember what I called it. All I know is we're going to be looking at some blue shards today because it's short, it's something we could get out of the way, and yeah. So, without further ado, Adam and I are going to jump into Craftwork. Craftwork is kind of a, I don't know, it's more of a puzzle solving item. This only does 1 damage when you first get it, and at max rank, well, the damage here is what you see, you know, 59. Let's use on normal enemy.
Definitely not the best.
Yeah, like you could kill some normal little enemies with this, the weaker ones. It does even cost any noticeable MP. If you just tap it out, boom, 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 you know. But this isn't something you would use over other things, honestly. You won't even be able to grade 9 this in the beginning. So this is, I don't know, really, like, I don't...
It's a puzzle. It's used for this.
Yeah, it's used mostly for this. You know, it's just used to move things around.
And you don't even need it for this one because you can lure one of the pigs into it.
Exactly. So it's, you know, this is only useful for specific sections of the game, and not so much for like battle. Honestly, I would just only use this when you actually need to. Don't waste your time using it. There are far better abilities, such as the. Actually, let's talk about this one first because there's been like maybe 1 or 2 videos on people mentioning it, like saying just how OP Bunnymorphosis is. And yes, Bunnymorphosis is OP until basically the end of the game, I would say. Like towards the end at least. This is the equivalent of equipping boots. We'll have to put those...
Oh my god, she looks so evil.
Yeah, I know, right?
I haven't seen her like that in the menu.
Oh, that's funny. She does change model entirely. She even gets a different little backstep. No, it does not have any additional invincibility.
She turns into Bayonetta.
But save fire to change out of this. So I already do that damage with the kicking weapon. But this is a way to avoid that because in the beginning you're not going to do that much damage. What this is essentially doing is taking your strength stat and all this other stuff and combining it all together to get some really high power. But later in the game, you'll be doing more damage than what this does, so, you know. This is really useful, though, if you don't want to go back into the menus a lot to equip a blunt weapon, and you need to maybe, you know, hit a skeleton a few times, or maybe you just want to bounce your way through some enemies, like what you're seeing me do here, because any kicking weapon goes into what she does sliding-wise and dive kicking-wise. So, for instance, you know, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna rush through here. You know, you could use it that way, or... You know, maybe you just want to kick enemies out of the air, go like that, boom, boom, oops, boom, and then bounce off him, you know, that kind of stuff. It's really good for just traveling around easily and killing enemies, especially if it's doing a lot of damage. If it's doing more damage than the current weapons you have in the beginning of the game, then by all means use this. You can turn it off if you feel your MP is getting too low. The cost on this is amazing, 5 MP a second. And as you rank it up and grade it up and all that, it's actually, yeah, as you grade it up. So just sit down, collect a lot of these. It'll cost barely anything. It won't even be noticeable. Only when you use the dagger toss will you actually start to notice your MP going down, or when you start to do the rapid kick. Now, there is a problem with the rapid kick. Once you activate it, she just kind of goes into it automatically. Hold square, and she'll start doing that. Now, this is the equivalent of the rapier attack, but blunt. The rapier attack I'm talking about, which we'll do a video on as well. We'll do a video on all the techniques in the game, but just to make that point. Oops. Same kind of command, but... Oh, wait, this is dagger. Oh my gosh, what the heck am I thinking? I'm so sorry.
Above. There you go.
So it's basically the same as that without the finisher. It's alright. Like, you know, the little rapid kick. For some reason, I think it makes your hitbox much bigger, or at least when we're trying it on certain enemies, it noticeably, like, can lead to you getting hit more often. For example, you see, it's like I swear he didn't exactly reach me yet, and yet she was getting hit out of it. How do you cancel off it? Just throw an air kick, and you should eventually come out of it. It kind of sticks around a little, but you see, I can stand much closer to him and I won't get hurt. But once I activate this thing, she just seems to push that hitbox out much further. So be careful when using that. But if you find the sweet spot on an enemy and you use that, like meaning where you won't get hit, while using it, you can kill some bosses really fast with that. Slower bosses, obviously. Bunnymorphosis, I would say, is like, it's an excellent ability, beginning to near end. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I went on the whole while about that. Poor Adam didn't get to say anything, so let's actually give him his moment to shine.
About Bunnymorphosis?
Yes.
I never used it.
Oh, okay. You don't have anything to say about it. I can't believe you never used it, dude. This thing is really like what some people might think, oh, they're just doing clickbait because it's a bunny outfit. But no, they're actually, the people who are saying this is really overpowered and all that stuff are actually quite serious, because like, this is the equivalent of when you first try Monk in Final Fantasy 1 on the NES, or well, like on the GBA. I'm not sure about the NES entirely, but essentially the Monk, you didn't need to put any weapons on him. He just did insane damage right off the get-go. Yeah, actually, Final Fantasy 5 as well. The Monk would do some insane damage right off the get-go because of their damage calculation based on their strength and their level. And essentially, it would take their level and their strength and like multiply it or whatever, and that would be your damage. Or had a formula for that at least, right? And essentially, Bunnymorphosis is kind of that. And it has the same downfall that Monk has. Eventually, the weapons get so powerful that the Monk will actually fall behind in damage to the warrior, who starts getting all these, like weapons like Ultima Weapon, Masamune, etc. So that's kind of like where the Bunnymorphosis does fall, but it's just so good for the entire game. It's the best traveling tool that you have when you get it. You can get this so early in the game.
Well, the reason why I didn't really end up using it is because when I first got it, I was like, oh, seems pretty cool. And I tried it out, like, a teeny bit, but it didn't seem all that great at first. Probably need more, to get it upgraded.
Yeah, and then enemies who are strong to blunt resistance will like resist it.
And I tried grinding the bunnies for a couple of minutes, and I didn't get a second shard at all for like a good few minutes. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to worry about this ability anymore. I never really thought about it again.
I see. So yeah, that's the bunny. It's just like, don't ignore it necessarily. Around the time you get it, maybe there's some blunt resistant enemies. Don't pay attention to those numbers. Just keep trying it and compare it to the damage you currently do, and you might actually find a use for it as you go through. As I said, it kind of takes your strength stat, so if you increase that even a little with equipment, you'll actually notice a sharp increase in the bunny's damage.
It does seem quite cool.
Yeah. No,
I do want to use it more next time.
Otherwise, my rating for that is absurd. It's absurd how useful it can be in the beginning. And as I've mentioned, like, it's basically like having a quick slot for kicking, essentially.
I can't really give that a rank because I have so little experience with it.
Yeah. Alright, so Accelerator. Freaking Accelerator. There's nothing. I don't have anything to really say about this. It is what it is. It makes you run fast. It's the similar thing you get to an Arya Sorrow with the little Panther ability and all that. It just lets you get places much faster, and I don't know what I would do without this. You cannot.
Turns you into Sonic.
Yeah, like you cannot be without this ability. You have the Naruto run and all that stuff. Like, it's awesome. It's funny. It's hilarious. It is what it is. It is what you see, and you don't even need that guy to get across. I could get across in one jump. This is just... Once you get this ability, which is at the end of the game, unfortunately. I mean, of course it's at the end of the game. But this is what you're going to be using pretty much almost all the time, just so that you could get to things much faster. You can grind with the... Oh my gosh. Actually, speaking of, so those... now, I'm sure other people have already, like, found this out, but...
There's a breakable wall above you.
Oh, yeah, there is. You're right. Let me, yeah. I mean, you could even find breakable walls with this thing, too, just by running into it.
And,
Oops.
It takes a long time to get, obviously, to the end of the game, but it is very useful, very fun. And as you said, it's pretty much the only way you'll be moving once you finish the game.
Wait,
and the MP consumption is so low.
Where was it? I was just moving so fast I never noticed.
Oh no, the next room.
Oh, the next... Oh, well, no, I already got it from... I already got the broken wall there. Oh, whoops, I didn't save the game, though. That's right, the fried egg. Huh. But yeah, you could even just run into walls with this, run into ceilings. It'll kill weaker enemies. Or you'll just run over them, but... Otherwise, yeah, like, just awesome ability, love it to death.
It's really good.
It's even faster than it is in the other games, if I'm correct. So that's another great thing, because this game is twice the size of any other Castlevania, Igavania game that's come out. So, yeah. It's Accelerator. I don't know what else to say. It's the best. Well, it's almost the best. I'm gonna leave the best one for last. So Beast Guardian. This, at first, I never appreciated it. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I got it. I never used it the first time I got it. And then I had trouble with fighting Igarashi. And I was like, wow, how do I beat this guy? I also had trouble fighting the 8-bit monster. I was like, how do I beat this guy faster? And Beast Guardian was my answer. I used this to beat a lot of bosses afterwards. It's probably the cheapest way to beat some bosses. Like that you could put on your R1 button. Especially for a beginner ability. You get this right at the tower. Right over here, it's pretty early in. Right around here. You could find it right where there's a werewolf here. There's like a werewolf like up here somewhere. You know, this ability, level it up, rank it up. It's very good. It protects you from everything in the front until it gets past him, pretty much. As you see, I could even run through some of these enemies and not get hurt. But this is good for when you're just trying to murder certain enemies. You know, you're staying out of their range. They cannot touch you with this. You know, if they toss a projectile or anything, even if, you know, it's like, oh, look, it's a giant laser, it's not going to touch you once you've leveled this up all the way. So it starts off okay at first, but once you get it all the way up, this is one of the best shields that you can have that lets you fight at the same time. Even better than what you have here with... I mean, the directional shield that you get in the directional skills, I think blocks even more. I think it blocks entirely, if I'm correct. But Beast Guardian lets you do things at the same time. This ability is so good. I think it even costs less. It's very, very good. It's great for beating the 8-bit monster. It's great for beating Igarashi. It's great for grinding some enemies without taking damage. It's kind of broken, I would actually... Yeah, actually, no, it's absolutely broken. You could actually get through a lot of boss battles without any damage with just this alone, and just continue a frontal assault. Put Rava Valar...
That's really cool.
And you're an invincible chopping machine of death. What about you,
Would you
Adam?
say that the MP is worth it? Like,
oh yeah,
is it?
Absolutely. I was using this when I didn't have Jeeple's glasses. I was grinding 8-bit monster, and if you combine this with the one of the earlier equipments you could get from doing the side quests, which now I really suggest anyone get those. Like, even if you might have to give up some useful stuff, get the Warlock's necklace. Combine that with the Warlock's necklace, and you're if you want an easy playthrough, if you really want an easy playthrough, get the Warlock's necklace, get the Beast Guardian, and you will have an easy guaranteed playthrough as long as you rank it up, essentially. But yeah, this build for the MP cost, it's pretty good. Like, what you're getting compared to these two abilities down here is 10 times better.
Yeah, I see. That's awesome. It's another one I didn't really use, but it is cool and it looks awesome.
Oh yeah, it's I mean, you've seen me destroy some the 8-bit monster with this over and over. I remember showing him. I was like,
Yeah.
dude, I found a way to beat him without getting hurt and without having to dodge through like you're a crazy maniac, like Harmony of Despair. Just do this. Be Soma with Final Guard on 8-bit Dracula. Yeah, because that was the one way I figured out was an easy way to kill him. So yeah, it's broken, or no, starts okay, becomes broken. That's my rating.
Yeah, I just think it looks super cool and it seems really cool. It seems so useful in every way.
All right. Next up is Feral Claws. Oh my gosh, Feral Claws. This ability is like the Beast Guardian, except instead of blocking, it attacks. And this is like, you know, it's the equivalent of that. This ability is very powerful when combined with certain fast attacking weapons. I mean, I guess it's actually pretty good with the gun too, as long as you keep your distance. Because you get that extra... Wow, actually, he went down pretty fast. Let's put a different weapon that's not like...
That's how good it is.
Yeah. Here, let's put the whip, for instance.
Just kills them. No matter what you do.
So all you just have to do is, you know, backstep away. It actually costs less than the Feral Guardian, which makes sense, because the Feral Guardian is, you know, very broken. But this, you get pretty much almost half of what you would do in damage, you know, 40%. You could even just run with this in your way. Of course, smaller enemies will not get the punishment unless you crouch. But you could, you know, just put this out and just run through a lot of enemies. I've used it on some bosses for grinding, such as the 8-bit... Well, no, not 8-bit monster. I used it on the slot machine. Used it on a few other certain bosses. I used it on OD. This is, yeah. This is also pretty darn good. It's not broken. It's just about balanced enough because you have to be in control of that and your distance at the same time. But it's constantly there doing some nice damage. Like, it's almost like a slower version of the... Slower but chunkier version of the Rava Valar. I can't fault it for 20 MP. It's so good. Definitely one of the better MP abilities to rank up. This is definitely worth the rank up for faster attacks and worth the grade up for maxing out the damage as much as you can. And if combined with Rava Valar, here's the results. You become a quadru. This is like the equivalent of having 2 Valmanways in Harmony of Despair. It's so good. It's
That's
a little
insane.
too good. So yeah, that's Rava Valar plus and I mean, you could even do this with the weaker one as well and still get some pretty good effects. But, you know, get that to Rava Valar and combine it with Feral Guardian, and every boss will essentially be bowing down and kissing your feet every day. Very, very powerful ability. Beast Guardian obviously makes you invincible, and, you know, to frontal attacks. Feral Guardian makes you a blending machine in the front. Oh, Shadow Tracer. Oh yeah, actually, do you have... Whoops, I am so sorry again. What about you, Adam?
No, that's okay. Oh no, it just seems super cool. I don't seem to have much experience with many of the manipulative shards. I mainly stuck to the story ones that you get given, but it seems super cool, and it's something I should use more of next time.
Great for... Actually, both of these are good for speedruns, by the way. Especially Feral Claws, damage-wise, good for speedrun, because you can get it... Actually, no, you don't get this one as early. You get it more towards the end. But Beast Guardian, you get it nice and early. If you're just trying to completely avoid damage, and you're not doing anything else with your MP... I mean, not so good in the beginning because of the MP cost, but, you know, beginning mid area, and so on, it just gets better and better. because at that point MP, you know, it's like, what are you doing with it if you're not going for a complete magic run or something like that, right? This is a nice one to throw in if you're going with like just hitting enemy, if you're bonking enemies in the face, or just blasting completely out with all your magic perhaps. But regardless, you could even throw this out as a slight parry. It's pretty good. And so is Feral Claws, of course. Shadow Tracer. This one, oh my gosh, this one is hard for me to use. Actually, before we demonstrate with our good Simon Belmont in the room. So Shadow Tracer does not actually, how do I put it? Like, they do attack with the gun, but let me just show you that. So, unfortunately, they attack as if they have infinity bullets, so I do not recommend using this with the gun in any shape or form. You have to use this with melee weapons only, especially to get the effects out of it. Unfortunately, even then, this is still not as good as Feral Guardian. You do get this sooner than Feral Guardian, but even then, as I said, not as good as Feral Guardian. So for instance, they do 1/4 of your damage. So once you rank, and you only get 1 at first, and they rank up to what you see here with 3. So essentially, at first you only start off with 25% extra damage. Oops, let's come over here. So as you see, they do 1/4 of my damage. So once you have all of them, it just comes down to getting them in place to do that extra 75% damage. So you're almost doing double your damage, which does sound pretty good, but for what you have to do to kind of get them in place, it could kind of be annoying at times. When you combine it with certain skills, though, that's where they kind of shine. Like that. They can do absolutely insane damage when combined correctly like that.
Doesn't seem worth it in a lot of situations.
Yeah, this is an ability that only shines if you have specific weapons. I am not kidding you. Specific weapons with specific skills. For example, Valkyrie Sword, the only way to activate the counter type ability that that you have with like all the other swords is only on Valkyrie Sword, which already comes with it, luckily. If you know where to find it, once you get the correct... Well, yeah, see, you can't get this until the end of the game, so Shadow Tracer doesn't really entirely shine. Like, it does and it doesn't. One thing that you can use to make it shine kind of early is the Rapier. It's actually pretty good with that, because remember, we're doing 75% more damage if we're hitting with everything, so if we do this, we do get a lot of damage off that. But even more so off this ability. This ability, the little Z attack, is very deadly because of its high crit rate, especially. This one is probably the best one to use with the Shadow Tracer because it's the least risky to use, I find. It doesn't work too well with all the other abilities, but the damage you get off this one is close enough to what you do with the Valkyrie Sword. Other than that, like, let's just show off the, for example, the little power crush
Hero's weapon.
It doesn't always increase the damage that much. You see, it's like, oh well, I just did a little more damage. You know, you could take your great sword type weapons. Oops. It's like, okay, so I got, you know, like a lot of critical there if I charge this all the way up. Okay, so I got 383. You know, it could be really powerful, but of course at that point, then you're putting yourself at more risk. Combo abilities. Yeah, it's okay with combo abilities. I'll give it that. Like, you know, so with the kicking weapon, the combo on that, or with the katana series of weapons. Whoops. You know, pretty good there. Oh, that's another thing. They do not emulate projectiles, unfortunately, so there's only one projectile coming out right now. They cannot do any of the magic. So, you know, that's why they kind of fall behind, I feel. It's like, oh, they could have done so much more, but, you know...
That would be insane if they could do the magic as well.
Exactly. If they could do the magic, then
Imagine
I would...
if you just had 4 beams flying out of you.
Exactly. Oh yeah, that's another thing. So notice how, okay, they all hit on that, but the shockwave part of the attack doesn't actually count with them, unfortunately. They do not create the shockwaves. They, like, basically anything with an effect on it, any kind of thing with special effects, visual effects, etc., will not happen with them, and that's kind of what sucks about them. They are completely limited to very specific abilities. I'm trying to do Graham right now. With Graham, it's like, I can't remember exactly, but I think, yeah, due to the crit rate that it has. Let's try and get them to come out. Oops. Yeah, because it has good invincibility. You could get something with this sometimes, but it doesn't work too well with them.
Ultimately, I don't think it's worth the effort.
Yeah, it really isn't. Especially since, I mean, yeah, they cost 10 MP, so for the lower cost, it's like, okay, it takes more skill, but it's very specific, you know, very specific to the setups you can do with it. You know, I don't know what to say about this one, honestly, guys. Like, this is so limited, I guess you could say. Like, I've used it to attack, and I guess, okay, if there's one thing I can say, damage-wise, better than Sacred Shade. Yeah, you get this later, unfortunately, but damage-wise, it's better than Sacred Shade, which I'll talk about next. But yeah, like, my rating for that is... it's good, but it's not... It's so specific. It's situational. That's my rating. Situational. It's completely situational.
I'd say it's kind of bad. I don't really like it. It's just not very useful, and even the thing is, even in the situations where it is useful, there's probably better alternatives.
Yeah, it's very setup heavy. I imagine with speed running and, you know, the lower MP cost it comes with, you know, if you have Valkyrie Sword on your next, you know, New Game Plus speed run, using that with the Valkyrie Sword's technique would be very good in the beginning, but other than that, yeah, like, that's not something you'll get to enjoy until the end of the game in New Game Plus. So, you know, take it for what it is, but I can't really give it, like, over Pharaoh Claws and all that, you know. I can't really say too much about this. Maybe, but see, this would take forever. Once again, for the effort that you need to do this, maybe if you grade it up, it might get really, really overpowered. But at that point, it's like, come on, I can do that with Pharaoh. Like, I could do that much sooner with Pharaoh Claws, and for an extra MP cost, have something that's just blatantly overpowered. So yeah, Shadow Tracer. Rather than nerfing things in this game, they should just buff things in this game. And Shadow Tracer is something that deserves a buff. It's the equivalent, like, I don't know, I feel even Zero's Heat Haze in Mega Man Et's Command Mission has much more relevance than Shadow Tracer. Let's put it that way. So, Sacred Shade is essentially, just to show that off, so once you've actually ranked this up all the way, which, by the way, that will take a while. I remember it taking a while just to get the last 2 things so I could finally have that luck increase. But as you see, I have 108 luck with that. Without it, I have 88 luck. So it gives you 20 to pretty much that, and it gives you about like 50 or so to everything else. 40, 45. It basically gives you a whole lot of increase. You know, 20 to your intelligence. I think about 10 to your defense. Yeah, 10 to your defense. 20 to your constitution, 20 to your mind. So, damage-wise, I did 512 at base, 470 without. So, you know, you get an extra 40 damage off it at max level, well, depending on, you know, everything else and everything. But, you know, Shadow Tracer is better than this, obviously, as I've demonstrated. But there is a specific thing I use this for, and that's called grinding. The higher your luck, the more things will fall out of enemies, the more chance you'll have of getting shards. This is specifically just my luck grinding equipment, so I'll just activate it when I kill an enemy, and, you know, I'll hope I'll get a shard, hope I'll get, so, as you see, I'm getting a pretty good drop rate here with everything, every time I activate it. I mean, obviously, my luck being 88, I'm going to have a high drop rate, but that extra 20 actually does make a noticeable difference, especially when getting shards. So, I can't really say this is good. It's good with Jeeble's glasses if you're just grinding around, but like I said, you know, you just turn it on, turn it off. You know, do not hold the button down for this one, whatever you do. If you don't have anything else to use, if you didn't get Bunnymorphosis, then just activate this on and off, but
at least in the offensive
yeah.
area.
I can't.
There's other better alternatives.
Exactly.
As
well. Even the small defense increase that you get out of this is negligible. I actually tested that earlier. I went from 66 to 63 damage against, you know, little Revenant's whip there. So, you know, it's just there for, like, for me, it's just there for the luck. And of course, I love having high luck just to make grinding way faster. So, good for speedrunning. Not so good for, you know, other things. So, you know, you could do that with Shadow Tracer. Obviously, you get this earlier, but by the time you get Shadow Tracer, I think that's when you could also rank this up to 9. So, maybe a little bit before, maybe a little bit after, but yeah, that's the only issue with this. So it's eh. It's eh. It's just the luck. That's my rating.
Yeah. I'd say pretty much the same. It seems cool, but just not. The fact that it uses quite a bit of MP and you have to hold it and all that, probably not worth it.
Exactly. I'm just checking my time here for a second. We're at 32 minutes. All right. So now we're going to talk about healing. Luckily, I took a good amount of damage back there. Healing, yeah, so here's the issue with this. It's like, wow, look at that. He healed 100 in, like, you know, however many seconds. Now, here's the issue with it. Just to get your healing all the way up to rank 9, and not to mention, I mean, first you gotta get the grade up as well, so that the healing actually does, you know, heal up to 15 HP each time. At rank 1, this thing is terrible. It heals too slowly. This is something you actually do have to get to rank 9 to actually have a good effect, to, you know, to heal nice and fast. I'm not even sure if I would even use this during, you know, sometimes I would use it during battle if you're like, oh, I'm just barely surviving, let's get a little more HP because maybe I could survive one more hit as a result, right? You know, especially when you gotta take precautions. I have used this sometimes with some of the harder bosses just so I could heal a little bit. And, you know, I was out of all my HP healing stuff, used up all my food. This came in handy for that. Obviously, I was more towards the end of the game. But, as I mentioned, or as I was about to mention, getting this thing to rank 9 is a butt to the end. This is something you can only have an easier time getting to rank 9 towards the end of the game, because then it's a little easier to just money grind, for one, to be able to get, you know, just buy X potions rather than make them, because making them could take quite a bit of resources, especially you know, like the grinding you would have to do to re-get the resources after you make a lot of high potions, and, you know, potions to make high potions, etc. Could be quite a bit tasking. So, and then, like, you also need, I think, a few other resources to make the healing thing, which you come across far later. So this ability, I mean, I would say it's better than Sacred Shade in terms of combat. You could get in that small bit of healing, but it's only good at rank 9 and grade 9. Otherwise, don't waste your time on this one until you have it maxed out. No joke there.
Even then, is it really worth it?
Well, say I'm fighting, I'm just trying to heal on the side. It's not bad, you know. Like, especially on enemies that take their time to go after you and you're just trying to heal. Like, I would even say use this as a heal between your, if you're not sure you're going to make it to a save or something, you can toss this on.
Yeah,
It
that'd
might
be
help.
good.
Because here's one thing that is better than. It's better than trying to rely on regenerate when you do not have this at rank 9. Even at rank 9 and it turns into an ability on the side, this still takes forever to just heal you at all. You know, you'll see some random 5s probably, you know, show up. That's how slow this thing is. If I equip 2, does it speed it up a little more? Yeah, a little, but that's just 10. So I mean, if I have the 2 combined, there's a noticeable effect there. Like I said, it's only good for mostly an in-between kind of thing. Kind of like the chair. You just use it when you kind of have to, when you're out of healing items, you don't know when this net save is coming. This is the last thing that'll save you.
The thing is, the good thing about regenerate is that it's not going to be taking your MP.
Yeah, that is the good part. But, you know, as I said...
It's not as good, but you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to hold any button. Your MP doesn't go away. It's just healing you all the time.
True.
Even if it's only a little.
And really slow.
That adds up over time.
Yeah. Well, now, here's one thing I will say about healing, though, and why I still put it over something like Sacred Shade. And it's only because the chair exists. Where's my chair? Summon chair.
For the MP.
Oh, yeah. Because, see, you know, this is why I said it's a great in-between ability, because you could just set down your chair, you know, when you're out of MP, sit down, recover your MP, okay, and then heal up, and then sit down, recover your MP, okay, heal up. This will save you on a lot of potions on the, in terms of just, like I said, that in-between segment. You haven't reached a teleporter, you haven't reached a save room, and you're like, I have no idea what the next room will throw at me. This is where this comes in handy. So, not useful in terms of battle, but it's useful when you need it most. When you're out of those healing items, this will save you. But that's the only thing I can say about it. It's not something I would toss on over the likes of Beast Guardian, which, hey, you know, rather than having to worry about healing, you could always just not take damage in the first place. All right. Now we get
always the better option.
And now, see, by the point which maybe you'll actually care about ranking this up, you might, you know, this is already at the end of the game. You could already beat the final boss by the time you're able to get this thing anyway. Standstill.
Zawarudo.
This ability is the best ability in the game, bar none. This is the greatest ability ever. Because, I mean, unless you walk into it, nothing will ever hurt you. Oh, right, and I forgot to mention the MP cost, but of course, if you've been a very diligent person in collecting all the shards in the game until you get this one, you know, I mean, by then you should be able to get Jeebel's glasses very soon. I would be surprised if you didn't have Jeebel's glasses maybe in a few hours after you get Standstill. That's if you forgot to grind a little, right? But you should get Jeebel's glasses maybe an hour or two after you get this. If you've been diligent in collecting every single shard, you probably just have to fight the Revenant, the slot machine, etc. And then go through the rest of the snowy area. But yeah, combine this with Jeebel's glasses, and you are Dio. You have the power of Zawarudo. And you just do whatever you want. Take a picture. You know. Do whatever you want, you know, like, I'm just gonna take a seat here, you know, catch up on some things, maybe catch up on a show, watch some YouTube on the side. Here, let's actually show what's so great about this ability. This is probably the thing everyone's been waiting for if they don't have this ability yet, and they've probably heard about it, wanted to spoil themselves on it. Let's just show how cool this is. You know, like, you could truly be Dio.
Jesus.
You can truly be Dio. Isn't that fun?
Imagine that all coming towards you in the span of like 1 second.
Exactly. Like, I wish I could just jump over him as well and do this, but Oh yeah, that's right. That's another thing. So certain things that stay on screen will continuously do damage. Of course, if you've seen my previous episode with the red Conjure Shards, then you know that this ability is very overpowered when you combine it with the likes of Summon Hellhound. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
I was about to mention.
This ability, you just summon 2 of these babies and say goodbye to any boss in this game. Nothing survives Summon Hellhound plus Standstill. It is the most powerful combination in the game, bar none. I mean, I'm sure there's probably maybe one stronger thing, but this has the highest damage output, bar none, to almost any ability aside from perhaps, you know, doing something like maybe this. You know, this also has this is just a lot of small numbers.
God.
Let's not forget. Doing
Just drilling him in the face.
exactly. You know, so I don't want to say that entirely counts in terms of, like I said, highest output of damage, burst damage, like that. You know, that's 1400 every, you know, like, or twice in a row every second, plus criticals as well, versus a whole bunch of small damage, you know, over and over. Of course, Chisel Barrage, obviously, you're gonna get a lot, or even Ruinous Rude. This is another favorite combination of mine before I leveled up Chisel Barrage all the way.
I was wondering what that looked like.
Oh yeah, this is
Christ.
dangerously overpowered.
That's insane.
And you know, if you just feel like, I don't know, making some cool looking
curious.
things, just be like, eh.
What was the game?
Yeah. Oh, here's another thing. So there is a limit to what you're able to do with this. Basically, what that means is like, okay, so I like to use where is it? What's the flame ability? The little flame shooting ability. Actually, I'll just do it with Shuriken. You do have a limit to how much you can shoot, as you saw with with the Chisel Barrage. Let's use Flying Dagger. Oh wait, no, not Flying Dagger, no.
I did want to see what Flying Dagger looks like.
Oh, okay, sure.
Because I'm curious to see how, because they all come out like one after the other. So whoa.
So as you see, I cannot shoot any more than twice with this.
Mm.
And when you activate this, you cannot activate it more than once, unfortunately, with Flying Dagger. That's why I was like, oh wait, not this one. There's certain abilities
because they take a moment
yeah,
and shoot. They actually stay like that.
but you know, you can
now they're
pause
coming
it,
out.
and no, you cannot recast it, unfortunately. Not even at this point. But yeah, still, it is pretty cool that you could do this. You could, oh yeah, there's no active hitboxes until they start shooting. That's another interesting thing that I found out through this. But yeah, there's just so much fun things to mess around with this, though. So you can't.
Can I get you to test something with that for a
Oh, yeah,
moment?
of course.
I don't know if you'll be able to see. Can you go into the room on your right?
The room on my right.
Yes. Now, can you use it? Your standstill. Okay. Go try it again. I'm wondering if it stops time as soon as it's used, or if the time stopping is as the. Oh no, it's not restricted to the actual bubble that comes out of you.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's completely like I'll get out of the way, but okay, there we go.
That's just a visual effect.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering if it actually.
Oh yeah, everything stops all the way. As long as you have this, activated, everything is stopped. But you can get a lot of fun visual effects with this. One of my favorites is what is it? Oh, Vaisha. Okay, so here's one way I like to use it. So like that, and then oops. Ah, shoot. But essentially, you could like make a nice little circle in the air. It's so cool. There's a lot of fun ways to mess around with just visual effects for this ability. Even like activate that there, full lightning coverage. It's the most fun ability in the game. It is the most powerful ability in the game. It is the most godlike ability in the game.
You do have to defeat a secret boss to get it, though.
Yes, a very secret boss, and he will only come after you if you take a certain thing from him and go to a specific room in the game. I would say it's pretty hard not to run into, though, as long as you visit this person. Of course, certain abilities will not always obey the laws.
7s.
Some light ability, well, not some light abilities, light laser abilities of certain kinds, but some will obey it like that. But yeah, this is a fun ability to just play around with. There's just so much to do with this, you know. Oh, impending doom. Oh, 3. I can activate 3. Oh, that's so beautiful. Oh, wait, let's... And then let's do, watch this. This is gonna look really crazy. Oops. Okay, I need chaser arrows. This will be the last one we show. And I need, this one. Oops. I'm trying to make sure I hold R1 when I cancel out, because if I don't do that, then this is all for naught. Okay, there we go. Alright, and then activate it from here. Okay, so that's all I can activate. And then... Now, I could do the spread shot version, but that one's very short range, so I'd rather do this. Now, for some reason, you could do this a lot with the gun. Like, the weapon abilities almost have no limit, I think. I don't know if they have a limit, but I know the gun doesn't. Because I did this with spread shot, and I was able to just make like a whole neon wall of just neon blue. It was crazy. Okay, there we go. And let it rip. Oh man, he died before that, but still. That's how crazy this ability can get.
Insane.
Like, I want to one day just take a real boss and put a whole bunch of those and just see a whole lot of numbers. Actually, I mean, I guess we could do it like this.
And it's like, since you can only get this ability post-game, you'll probably be not far away from getting all of the shards.
Yeah.
So you'll probably have Chival's glasses.
Exactly. I mean, I did...
So you can just do it forever.
I did get this before the final boss. So you can get it, like...
Oh.
Yeah, I got it before I fought the final boss. That's what was surprising to me.
I didn't know that. I thought you had to... Okay.
Yeah, no, and when I fought the final boss, I was like, oh, shoot. I don't know if I should... Yeah, so I kept myself from using Standstill. Well, okay. I kept myself from using Standstill in the second phase, but otherwise, yeah, like... I felt guilty using this on the final boss. It was really guilty. Fun. I don't know what else to say about this. Just pause everything and, let them feel your wrath. 6.
Meteor.
Ah, beautiful. Anyway, that's all for now. Like, that's all the blue shards. Of course, we saw a lot of other shards in action there, but that's because
Standstill is...
Exactly, Standstill is too good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope you guys have a good day.
Bye.